Galimera galispera galinigda. No matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be, thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. It's a new week. It's a blank canvas. It's almost the end. And let's have a little chat about something that I've been thinking about all weekend. Let's rock and roll, squaddies.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Hello, squaddies. How are you? I hope you had an epic weekend. A late start today because I wanted to watch the Sheffield United game, as did our chief like officer, Tammy. And Carol, I believe, was going to watch the game. Hola, hola, hola. How you doing? A very proud moment. Tyrese will be playing in the championship playoff game. The most expensive game in football, they call it. And Sheffield United have absolutely wiped the floor with Bristol City in this semi-final. And let's hope that they can be as dominant in the final at Wembley. It's going to be an epic day for the family. And at ease, squaddies, at ease. We know who would have been at that game today, and a very proud moment for Tyrese and his entire family. So congratulations to him. He would be saying job not done yet, but the fact that he is close to being a Premier League player is absolutely awesome. Please listen to our chief like officer, Tammy Steels. Hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do so already. And do me a little favor, squaddies. If you go into the description of this show, the links to the audio platforms on Apple and Spotify are up. Trying to grow the base there with our new relationship with the Sports Social Podcast Network. Ignore the PSG thing. I did this on the day we were playing in the semi-final. But yes, it's going to be great. And I'm really excited to grow the audio platforms as well. So please do go subscribe, like, leave a review and share with your friends. Let's welcome some of you to the proceedings. Morgie left me a message early when I posted this. He goes, "Hi, Sophie, I'm the wrong person to ask about fan factions. Mikel Arteta, go or stay, as I have been watching live since 59-60 and seen the highs and lows in the end. We always live to fight another day. However, since you asked, my third AFC day and the M's has been usually, I think DM's fulfilled. I don't know. That third of a beer with mates, I get it. Thirds. Life comes in thirds for some Arsenal fans, and this is what I wanted to talk about. The boss, not Mikel. Teta cannot win trophies. The proof is all for there to see. We're going to talk a little bit about this. Gosh, I'm early today. Look forward to your show. Guy and Prosper, hope you are prospering. Shaitanya, big up Soph and the squaddies. Look forward to this episode. PW's here. Ian's here. Carol is here. Let's see. Reginald is here. The Arsenal perspective is here. Ian's got his popcorn ready. Imran, hello to you too. Jamie, good evening. Trev is here as well. MK is here. Good afternoon, MK. Good to see you. Mohammed is here. Sean is here. Greetings from Ireland. Love your content. Chippy Brady is the reason I follow the Gooners. What a player. Oh, my God. Kevin, you loved Liam Brady. What a player. He was, I tell you, one of the first kind of silky smooth. I mean, the ball literally, I think, was super glue 3'd to Brady's feet. A great reason to support the club. Soph, did you see what Peter Schmeichel said about Mikel Arteta? We're going to get stuck into all of that as well. So why don't we do that, right? So let's start at the very tippy top as to why I wanted to talk about this subject today. Someone said, who was it? Emmanuel Petit today on TalkSport was talking about Arsenal And, one of the things that he said that kind of stuck with me too was it's all great when the season starts, but then as the season tails off and you need to do the business end of things, it's the same story every single season. And what I've noticed again is, and if you guys remember, I've done a couple of shows where I talk about being an Arsenal fan and what it means to be an Arsenal fan. And I just don't understand how so many people want to tell fans how they should support the club. And I find this a little distasteful, right? I'm sorry if there's a lag. I may have an internet issue here and I'm on my own today. So if things go bad or I drop, I'll be back. And the one thing I think is this: you can be an Arsenal fan, support the team, support the club, don't think the manager should be fired, but still have criticisms. And it feels like we've gone back to one way or the other way. And I don't understand that. I don't. And so I kind of wanted to dig a little deeper with you and have a conversation as to why this is happening. And Jamie just put a comment up about Peter Schmeichel. And I think it's been a bad week for Mikel. It's not only been a bad week because we got knocked out of the Champions League. It's been a bad week for him press conference-wise. Now, I want to split these pressers into two because I thought that his post-match presser, and you guys can see my segments on Sky Sports and TalkSport, and I've said the same thing to you guys as well. I thought that his press conference after PSG was a little classless and there was no humility there. You want your manager to hate losing. And of course, no one wants to lose. We all wanted to win. But what it does is it gives the ammo for fans, and not even just Liverpool fans, but opposing fans, to post about how Liverpool accepted defeat against PSG versus how Mikel Arteta did. And he's very salty and it makes him come across as exceptionally arrogant. And I think one of the other things that doesn't help is the hype, right? Before the PSG semi-final, I talked a lot about less hype, more heart. And I felt like the club went overboard hyping the game, especially the home game against PSG. I think that there's been a case of the club controlling way too much of the fan narrative, i.e., allowing less to be organic and more to be manufactured. And I also think that, knowing Mikel, did he really want to do that hype video beforehand? I don't know. It seems to me like the marketing and communications team said to him this would be a good idea. And for me, this is why I kind of struggle with when people talk about us being mentally weak and not being closers. It just strikes me Mikel wants to win, and he wants to win so bad. And it kind of makes him salty when we don't. So there's a juxtaposition there, right? You want him to be that way, but at the same time, I think in defeat, there needs to be humility. So all of this hype and this marketing and forcing songs down fans' necks, and I know there's a lot of fans that love the songs. And I think that when Ashburton Army came into the stadium and were doing what they're doing, that was like an organic growth that felt like, fans really pushing hard to add an atmosphere and a vibe to the stadium. I know a lot has happened since then, but I don't think we've done anything organically to replace what Ashburton Army brought to the table. So there's a lot of control, and I think Mikel controls a lot. You know, James was telling a story last week when he was on the show about the DJ and, you know, the Drake song and all that jazz, blah, 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 blah. So for me, I feel like there's a little too much pushing and this rhetoric and this narrative of we're going to make history, it's our time. I love all that stuff. And maybe we have to do it because we haven't won. Maybe we need to do that. But I don't think you need to G up Arsenal fans more than is necessary for a Champions League semi-final. Whether you were going to the game, whether you were watching from a pub in North London or in Kenya or in the United States or Australia, India, wherever you're watching, you're hyped. And sometimes I think we put a little bit too much mayonnaise. So then when things don't go right and the shoe drops, everything seems magnified, right? And what do I mean by that? Not only do the fans come out in a critical manner, which I understand, then Arteta's super fans come out and accept, maybe, I know everyone wants to win, but there's this acceptance of where we are, where we're going, what we're doing, without the ability to be critical. And I don't like that. And then what else happens is that it gives the media, the pundits, the ammo to come at us. Sometimes, you know, even in a relationship, right? Maybe your partner is critical of you because of something you're not doing. You keep saying, I'm going to do it. I'll get to it. I'm going to, you know, I'll get there. I'll change. Words mean nothing. It's actions. It's showing, right? And which is why I was surprised when Mikel was talking in his current press conference with Liverpool. He said action, not reaction. But he's talked a lot this season about reacting. So in the Liverpool game, it was more about action versus reaction. I thought he was pretty harsh, and I'll get to that press conference as well. So you got all this ammo now, right? And he's given it to everyone on a plate. He has handed everybody all of the content they need to be able to come at us. And the PSG, I felt, was no humility, classless. The Liverpool press conference, I agreed with him on a lot of that stuff. Did it feel, though, that the stress and the pressure had got to him a lot? We haven't really heard him throw the players under the bus, which I think he was doing in a very clever, very Mikel kind of way. I think there's been moments in the season where maybe a press conference like that was warranted, because in the first half I tweeted out and I got killed by a lot of disciples saying to me, what game are you watching? What you talk about? Support the club, support Mikel. And I'm like, this is my assessment of the first half. Get over yourselves. What's wrong with you? And then in the second half, I posted, now this is better, playing with more heart, playing with more passion. Because we were and we did. And whatever he said to them at halftime actually worked. And you have to give him credit for that. So what I said to Natalie and Tony Cascarino on the TalkSport Weekend Breakfast Show was, what this type of narrative does is it gives ammunition to a certain part of the fan base who will back Mikel Arteta to the hilt. Now, I don't think he should be fired. I think I would like to see what he and Andrea Berta do together, what Berta can bring to the table, be a machine in the transfer market, get a striker in, get all the bits that we're missing, get better players, get players like for like that are going to match Saliba, match Saka, match Declan Rice. Let's see what he can do when he's given more, even more, because he's been given a lot, right? But what it does is those fans kind of take on the baton of defending him to the point where you can't criticize him. even if you don't think he needs to lose the job, right? And what I think is that Mikel's very clever. He knows how to play the room. He's learned how to play the media. He knows what to say. He likes to push the buttons. When he wants to be funny, he is. When he wants to be Mr., I want to win, he is. He's learned how to play the game, and rightly so. When you're manager of Arsenal Football Club, you need to have access in your toolbox to many different things that you can touch on as the season and a stressful season goes on. But what I think he's actually done in a way, which I think is really dangerous in sports, is I think he's become the Arsenal evangelist. And I believe there's a certain section of Arsenal fans who have become his disciples. And he's the gospel. What he says, what he does, how he reacts, how he picks a team, who he starts, who he sits, what he says, they are all in on Mikel Arteta. Now, you can be all in on Mikel Arteta, sensible fans. I'm not saying the disciples are not, but there are a lot of sensible fans who can see both sides. I think I'm a little bit of seeing both sides. I see why people are upset. I see why people think it's been a failure of a season. We haven't won a trophy again. Sure, we've gotten to the semi-final of the Champions League. Our league form has dipped. You can blame that on injuries, maybe a few red cards here and there. All of that comes into play. But the fact that there's this notion that there's no other manager out there that can do this. There's no other coach that can coach up players. There's nobody. I think Arne Slot's busted that myth. Now, you can come at me and say they've got 3 or 4 world-class players. He had the architecture and the infrastructure, to win the league. Well, didn't we last season? No injuries, really. Everything going our way. We had the lead. So these arguments, too, about if we had people fit, if this person, if that. I love playing the what-if game, but last season we had the chance and we whiffed. I keep telling you guys, a lot of it is up here. And so when I look at how he manages the squad too, I think you have to have a really big ego to be a manager at a big club. And we've seen that, right? We've seen that with Sir Alex. We see it with Pep. Klopp started off pretty humble, got really ego-driven. If you win, that works. If you win, you have the coupons to have that arrogant edge. I don't think Mikel's earned all of the coupons to show no humility after losing to PSG, to come at the players a little bit the way he did. And his ego, I think, has gotten in the way of certain things. What's happening with Waneri? What's that about? Why isn't he playing him? Why isn't he subbed? Why isn't he was late? Is it the same as Aubameyang being late as captain for the North London derby and then refusing to warm down? Is it the same? He's like a 17-year-old kid, 18 now. I think that having control is a good thing. Having too much control is not. And yes, Michael, high standards, must have them. This is what we wanted at the club because our standards were pretty low. But at the same time, I think that, are you trying to prove a point you didn't bring Waneri on at PSG because he was late? That's the rumor. Or do you want to win? Where's that part of the ego to bring someone on who can change a game maybe on a whim? I think it's fine margins too, right? But for me, I think that we've gone into a little bit of dangerous territory. And I think that Mikel has gotten himself into a position where he's had a rotten week and he needs to simmer down a little bit. Because the truth is that we still might not finish second. We got knocked out of the FA Cup. We were humiliated by Newcastle in the League Cup semi-final. We performed brilliantly against Real Madrid. We lost to PSG. Consistency as well has been a real problem. You beat Real Madrid like that and you can't go on to beat PSG. There is a consistency issue. I mean, it's okay to question whether or not he's up for the job when it comes to closing. It's okay to question whether or not he's made the right decisions. I also think he's done a tremendous job managing in adversity with the injuries that we've had to actually still be sitting in second and to get to the semi-final of a Champions League. And again, why can't the two coexist? I don't know. Do you think there's a bit of a disciple culture that has been built at Arsenal inadvertently or organically? I don't know. But also, I don't think it helps then when you talk about loading the gun. Peter Schmeichel. This is what Peter Schmeichel had to say about Mikel Arteta following on from the presses and stuff. It's not recruitment, it's the board. Whenever they get the opportunity, watch him in the technical area. Arteta is a control freak. He wants his players to play the ball that he wants. He's directing everything. Arteta is still playing the game for the players, and that would confuse the hell out of me as a footballer, that you had a coach that wants to direct me for everything I do. It would confuse me and make me a worse player. Those are the words of Peter Schmeichel. Now, whether or not you respect Peter Schmeichel and his opinion, he's played the game. And I think that part of it is right in that we've talked this season about what's happened to the creativity, what's happened to Odegaard. You know, Saka's dipped. Not really. Does anyone really deserve player of the season? I wouldn't give anyone an award this season. I think players have been good for spurts. I think Declan Rice has been great in the latter part of the season. I think Thomas Partey was good for a few months. I think David Raya was excellent at the beginning and middle of the season. I think Timber has been superb. Gabriel, before his injury, was probably our most consistent player and would have got my vote as player of the season had he seen the season through. Balance it, show Carragher clips. What are you doing, Sophie? What is it you want me to show? Because I'll get on to Jamie Carragher. Jamie Carragher talking about Declan Rice and how he wants to kind of come at the angle of, you know, maybe in a year's time he'll get fed up, is what he was insinuating, and that he would leave Arsenal. Is that what you mean? You have the balance then of Yana Fjortov, who has played the game and played in the Premier League and now is in the media, saying, my experience with managers as a player and an interviewer is that some speeches belong in the public and some only in the dressing room. You have to read the room. I do understand Arteta's factual statements on points last season, but I don't agree on his view that they were the best team in the Champions League. But I think anyway that these are statements more as a motivation speech for the dressing room or even as motivation for yourself. Now, Henry Winter, I'm a huge fan of Henry and I'm a huge fan of Graham Brooks, by the way. Henry Winter, tongue-in-cheek, the best team in the Premier League, dominating the best team in the Champions League. Graham Brooks, who, if you see him on AFTV and his own stuff, one of the best out there when it comes to tactics, reading the game and giving his opinion on the game. And Graham's response was, real stupid tweet, Henry. I expect better. a big admirer of your opinions on the game, but you let yourself down there. Now, I'm not saying Graham's a disciple, but this is an example of there's no joy left. Can you have fun? People will read it wrong. Social media has so much to do with this. You know, Mikel set all of that up, which goes back to my point, and I'm here, there, and everywhere right now, but it goes back to my point of loading the gun and letting them have the ability to fire at us because of how we handle ourselves. And he did it to himself by saying we're the best team in the Champions League. Best not to say that. He doesn't care, though, but we care. So what happens? Fans have to pick up the pieces. Then you feel you have to defend him, defend the club, defend the players. And that's what I mean about an evangelist says something, the disciples take it on, they defend the gospel. And that's how it has felt to me, especially towards the latter part of this season and post-loss in the Champions League to PSG. I'm going to get some comments up from you guys. Sophie, there has to be context, and KSC let us down. You and others are firing at Arteta. You are giving the perfect example. I'm actually also saying that Mikel deserves his job, that he deserves to have a season with Berta, that he needs to be backed to see what they can do together when he actually has a director of football who has prowess and pedigree in the transfer market. This is exactly what I mean, Mark. I'm not being facetious here in that maybe you're not listening, but that's the other thing. It's like that white man can't jump scene. You're listening, but you can't hear me, is what Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson had an exchange in that scene. So if someone defends Arteta and they're a cultist, pretty extreme in my opinion. I do believe that there is a section of the fan base, I never said cultist, a disciples cult? Is an evangelist a cult? I never said cultist. I'm using an analogy based on a figure being powerful, engaging, having a narrative that makes sense to a lot of people. Now, what I'm saying is it healthy? Has Mikel Arteta built this gigantic persona where a lot of people, when they talk about Arsenal, they talk more about him than the club? Everything becomes about him, and Mourinho was perfectly brilliant at that. He deflected. He did a phenomenal job, but he was also a winner. He won big trophies. So you would argue that he earned the right to do that. Jamie, I hate that we properly can't discuss or reflect on something without people assuming we're hating. Tammy says, hit the like button, which I would like you to do. Let's see. Cultists always gaslight you like that. Man. I mean, let's see. Sophie, toxic levels are high in the fan base. The Arsenal perspective says, you didn't say cultist, but I did in the chat, and I stick by that and happy to explain my position. Come on the show right now and explain your position. Demian, the irony of listeners not listening and putting words in your mouth, you got to love that. Let's see what we got here. K. Marlon says he does not adjust to the game. We've been getting exposed with the inversion shit, and in my opinion, that's poor from Arteta. Elite managers adapt and make changes. Charles says, your take is right, Soph. Mikel has turned into an evangelist. He does not criticize the players publicly and always goes, believe the dressing room camaraderie is powerful than anything else in this world. How do we know KSC let Arteta down? How do you know for certain? Do the Cronkies pick the team? Did the Cronkies say, damn it, Mikel, you go buy Calafiori. Go get that Italian boy. Do the Cronkies decide not to bring on Waneri until there's 4 minutes left in the game? Do the Cronkies decide to play, Thomas Partey as a right back? Did the Cronkies decide to buy Mikel Merino? I don't understand this disdain currently for the owners, because you're the same fans that tell me that Mikel's had 800 million to spend. Who gave him that money? Who sanctions those deals? I went over this last week, right? If the owners do not put their money behind their supposed ambition this summer with someone like Andrea Berta in the driver's seat, I will sit here on camera live to you and tell you, you know what? They screwed up. They absolutely screwed up. And in January, I came on this show and I said that was a total fuck up. If you want to win the league and you know Saka's injured and you know Kai Havertz is injured and you know all of these different things and you don't invest. But did they want to give Arteta the money in January, knowing Berta was coming in? We had an opportunity to buy Ollie Watkins at an earlier time. People don't think he's worth 60. They thought he was worth 40. Rumour is Mikel wanted him. Rumour is Mikel didn't want him. You had the whole of January to buy someone, to bring a body in. I don't care what anyone says. Asensio and Rashford helped Aston Villa. They did. It's on everybody. And I've been told that there's a committee at the club, a committee by 4, who make all of the decisions when it comes to transfers. And unless they agree, nobody gets signed. There were some at the club that didn't believe Mikel Merino was worth X amount of money. There were some at the club that didn't think Havertz would be a good signing. So it's all relative. And specifically this evening, I wanted to touch on, and some people are proving my point, is I support Mikel definitely for another season. I think what he's done to change the culture of this club and evolve us to Arsenal 2.0, together with Adu, together with some other key figures behind the scenes, has been nothing short of absolute brilliance. We were on our knees, didn't even like the players. It was easy to get tickets. The journey has been unbelievable. Unbelievable. We've gotten so close that I just question, is he a closer? And at some point, I want the journey to lead to a final destination. You know, Tony and I work on the house. We start painting our house. We start putting new floors in. Oh, this is nice. This is a great journey. But we want it done in the end. We want it done so we can sit down and enjoy it and bask in it. That's all I'm saying. And I think it's okay to think that. And as for Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville and all of that, I'm so sick of it, honestly. I think Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville are two of the worst pundits on television. And I'm not afraid to say that. I do stuff for Sky Sports post-match. But it has become about them, not the game. It has become about their comments, not the players who are busting their balls on a pitch to get a result for their team. And then they want to make it about Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta shot himself in the foot this week. And it makes me so mad that he gives ammo to guys like that to just keep the rhetoric going. Jamie Carragher said that people who don't support Liverpool shouldn't be talking about Liverpool. You dumbass, are you joking? You're paid millions of dollars to talk about other teams, and you do it also outside of your job and on social media when you talk about our club a lot. And by the way, you loaded the firearm when you talked about Trent Alexander-Arnold. And your fans booed him. All right? Booed him. A guy who's given 20 years to the club. 20 years. You helped them do that by the comments you made previously. I don't care what you think about Liverpool or Trent. I thought that was classless. And you know what, Arsenal fans? Let's not act like we haven't had our fair share of these kinds of moments. Xhaka went from 0 to hero. Booed, told to F off by fans, takes off the shirt. Trent didn't do any of that. Trent's acted nothing but classy. And they can't forgive him because he wants to go and join Real Madrid. And then we got to sit down and listen to Jamie Carragher tell us about football, tell us about our club. The clickbaiting. I am so sick of the clickbait universe that we live in. This is why I loved having David Ornstein on this season, Sammy Mockbell. You know? Some fans don't like Charles Watts. I like Charles. I think he's well thought out. You know, I feel like Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville, they should just call it Jamie and Gary's Monday Night Football. And by the way, well said. Proven to be one of the worst coaches on the planet. So that's what I think about them. And, you know, Jamie Carragher has said and done a lot of things on TV. And this was disgusting. If this was, I don't even know if this was in the middle of cancel culture and stuff like that, but we keep rewarding people for bad behavior. I mean, what he said to Kate Abdo live on television during a broadcast of the Champions League was disgusting. And I have my own experience, which maybe one day I will share with you. But let me just say, like, the power sometimes certain voices are given is not a positive thing. And at first, I thought Gary Neville was one of the best. I thought he was brilliant at what he did, the way he would break down games, the way he would speak, buys into his own hype. And there you have it. Okay, that's them done. What else is on my list today? I'm going to go back and get to some of your comments, but I want to bring it all together. And if a couple of you want to come into the studio and have your say, you let me know. This control thing and this hype thing that I was talking about with the club and with Mikel, and why some fans also were annoyed. We released another merch line the day before the PSG game. Act like you belong there. Now, I know I'm in marketing and PR. Merch releases are planned well in advance. They don't just plan to drop something day of. But in the planning ahead, maybe you should think to yourself, you know what? We win, we drop a merch. We don't win, we drop it at the end of the season. They know our fans will eat everything up. I learned today from my good friend Marky Mark, because he is a merch, well, he likes merch. We have released 22 merchandise lines this season. Now, I just thought I'd put this together real quick for you, and then we can talk. And then when I see Raheem Sterling's face, okay, that was earlier in the season, as someone who is in the campaigns. I mean, totally disastrous. Absolutely disastrous. That's 22 drops. That's not including the kits. The home kit, the away kit, the middle kit, as I like to call it. That's all sorts of colours. And then today I read on here from my good friend Tom Canton, exclusive, Arsenal to launch new home kit later this week. It's become tradition, expected to wear it against Newcastle United for the final home game of the season. Features nostalgic links to club iconography on the familiar red and white color scheme. Personally, I've stopped buying merchandise. I like a good hoodie. Okay, I do like a good hoodie. I mean, Vinny, we haven't been able to sell too many of these puppies, but we'll have more merch coming out. Vespa wants her own line next season. Jokes aside, 22 merch drops. That's incredible, right? There's a lot of focus. Listen, if there was a Premier League for merchandise and marketing, we would win it every year. We would be Liverpool, Manchester United. No one comes close to us. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Fans love merch. Of course they're going to release 22 lines of merch when everybody buys it. So I guess your question is, why do you have issue with this? I said on a show last season, and I asked this question, have Arsenal become more of a marketing company than a football club? And I think we have. Listen, I love this club. I've been following them for years. Not like Morgie, I haven't been there that long and seen as many lows as highs. I've watched us win, and win in extraordinary ways. I just think there's too much marketing. There's too much messaging. There's too much control. There's too much of the too much. There's too much mayo. There's too much mustard. Like, why can't football be organic in some ways? Why do we have to monetize everything? Season tickets up, merchandise release, again, buy this, buy that, do this, do that. Going to the stadium, you're told how to support the team. You listen to a song, there's a DJ afterwards. Fine, I get all of that. Who doesn't want to hear cool music from DJ Tony Perry and other DJs, when you're enjoying yourself and you're having fun? I know DJ Tony Perry isn't the DJ at Arsenal, but maybe, he's a good friend. We even came out with a line of China this season. China. I mean, who's buying China? I bet it's sold out. I want to focus. I kind of want to be... It's like with the Mighty Ducks. Have you seen the Mighty Ducks? Or give me the Hoosiers. I mean, I want us to go down and dirty and raw and real next season. I want us to keep our mouth shut. I don't want to talk about making history. I don't want to talk about this is our moment, this is our time. I don't want to hear any of it. Absolutely not. Do your talking in the transfer market in the summer and do your talking on the pitch. Show me the money, as Tom Cruise said. That's it. Stop with all of this loudness and this chaos. And certain fans do buy into it, hence circling back to we become disciples. We just follow to the end of the earth. We don't ask questions. And when we do ask questions, we're questioned why we're asking questions. It is my right as a fan to have an opinion. And you guys know the rules. Don't be misogynistic. Don't be homophobic. Don't be racist. Don't be vitriolic. Don't send threats to people. Don't be a moron. Don't be a Neanderthal. Sensible fans have their right to ask questions. Fans have their right to be depressed and down at the end of this season. Another trophyless season. The almost team. Some fans want more. Is it not okay to want more? Don't you want more in your own life? I do. So for me, it's okay to say, I want to see what Mikel does next season with Berta. I want to see if he's a closer. I want to see if this club is going to put their money where their mouth is. And then you'll hear me ripping the owners apart, because I do think that he has been given a lot up to this point. He has been supported to the hilt. He's been given everything, even the power behind the scenes to pick and choose songs, maybe. That's power. To me, we fans need to take back some of our power. We do. And it's okay if we do. And if you don't want, that's fine too. Stop telling each other how to support the club. Stop telling each other what they should think of Mikel. Stop telling other fans how to live, breathe, support, and love the Arsenal. It's getting old. Okay. Let me get some of your comments up. I just realized I've been talking for 46 minutes. G-Star says, facts. Newman says, all the best squaddies are women. The men fail miserably. Arsenal, just the spicy Spurs. Fraudetta out. I've had enough of this crap. Are you a Spurs fan or an Arsenal fan? Michael says, sensible fans, heavy emphasis on sensible, please. I think I did. The emphasis was there. Arteta has a weekly show with Sky Sports. Are you speaking in caps, Sophie? Maybe. The culture of the club, we are becoming rotten, and it's because of the Cronkies. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Just want to get some of your comments in. Jamie says, let the football do the talking. Mark, how you doing, Mark? Launching new merch straight after a massive disappointment is ill-advised timing. I would say there's a lot of money that goes into a marketing campaign. Pulling it could be just as costly as well. So it's very interesting in that regard, because it's not cheap. Yes, there's too much marketing, says Jean Rene, but I think this is a general football issue, not just a club thing. You know what I should have done? Shame on me. I would like to know what the club below us, how many merch releases they've done in a season. So if you have a Hollywood background, this is just as bad. What? I don't know what you mean, Chris. Explain yourself. 22 is ridiculous, says K. Marlon. Marina says every club is doing it. Tammy talking about the China. Let's see. BX Gunner, it's purely a business to the owners. They have no sentimental attachments. Yeah, Newman would wear Vinny and Vesper stuff all day long. Me too. I spend every summer buying all the stuff for my kids, which isn't cheap. Is it? Yeah, man. It is not. Let's see. Albert's in the house. Albert. Soph, don't forget the crockery range. My brother. How's it going? Let's see. Who else is in here with some comments? MK says, I'm curious how our merch drops are in terms of frequency. Thank you. I should have done that research, MK. I should have, for sure. 88 miles per hour. They could have delayed. Yep. Seb says, let's don't forget that Carragher spat at a child because he was unable to control his emotions. Many would have lost their jobs. He was rewarded. Correctamundo. Well, he was benched for a little bit. He was benched. G-Star, Sophie's on smoke today. Yeah, I am. Definitely. Let's see. Let's get some other comments. Listen, over 200 of you in live chat as well. Hit that like button. Kiss it. Absolutely kiss it. Thank you. Jean-Rene, thank you, Sophie, all of our opinions. I'm happy to put your opinions up. looking for some other ones as well. BX says, I bet even Moyes would have won with this team over the last 3 years. Ten Hag. Okay, so here's how I want to end this. All right. And we've talked about Mikel in the post-match pressers, what narrative that can build, what it means to fans, how it can affect fans. We've talked about control, things being a little bit too manufactured, not organic enough. We've discussed how that gives ammo to pundits, media, opposing fans, which I'm growing not to care about as much, but clearly tonight I care a lot about it. A little bit of Carragher and Neville and merchandise, right? So let's see. MK is going to do an infographic summary. That is absolutely epic. I love that. Geez, I just had a perimenopausal fog. I was going to close with something. Let's see. Where is it? There we go. Where is it? What I wanted to finish with. He says, Sophie, spitting facts, big up Highbury Squad. Love that. I totally forgot my closing statement. If I was defending someone on trial right now, they would be absolutely buggered. I would be like, recess, judge, can I approach the bench? I've been talking about so many different things. And then I wish I'd have said it out loud. I got to find the comment about it. Let's see. I got to find it. Stick with me, people. Stick with me. Sophie, why don't you say this when you're on Sky rather than being over positive on Sky with Arteta? You know, I don't think I was overly positive with Mikel Arteta when I was on Sky the last time. I said he needed to show some humility, and I said exactly the same thing. I said that he gets another year. I want to see what he does with Andrea Berta, but the journey has to lead to a destination. If you go into the video section, play it. And if you don't think I've said exactly the same things, come back on the show next time and we can have a conversation about it. I've been consistent. I have been consistent. Now, am I going to go on there and call him names? Of course I'm not. Have I called him names here? No. But I've been consistent. No doubt about it. Let's see. Every time the club fails to deliver, we get special Arteta and Rice interviews. I don't think people are kind of into that. Yeah, I think people are seeing through it, you know. I totally have lost the comment. Let me see. Let me go here. Hold the mayo. Yeah. Fog brain. Too much. Well, listen, let me know what you think, right? Oh, I remembered. Yay! Okay, Manchester United and Tottenham are in the final of the Europa League. We are not in a final. They are 17th and 18th, respectively, in the Premier League. If one of them wins, this question is being asked left, right, and center, right? Is it a more successful season than ours? The answer to the question is yes. Of course, it's more successful. They've won a trophy. I got killed on social media over the weekend because I said nobody remembers second, third, or fourth. You remember trophies. You remember finals. We still remember 2006, even though we lost that game. I'm not saying I want to finish 17th or 18th. I'm not saying I want to be in the Europa League. But I'm saying that if we had a final at the end of this month and it was the Europa League final, I would be so excited. I'd be looking forward to it. And you know what? At the end of the day, players, when they show their grandkids, their career, their books, Harry Kane finally can point to a tray and say, yay, I won something. Everybody wants to win something. And this narrative, okay, about they don't deserve to be in the Champions League. Bollocks. They don't make up the rules. I hate Manchester United. I hate Tottenham. I don't want to see them in the Champions League. They weren't 17th and 18th when they qualified for Europe, right? They qualified to be in Europa League last season. Now you want to change the rules because they finished 17th and 18th, and what business do they have being in Europe? They're a mess. They're an absolute mess, both of those teams. And it's going to be a long way back up when you've reached that far down in the Premier League. But make no mistake, then people change the goalposts. I'm so happy I remembered what I was going to say. Because then they say, oh, so if you want to be in the Conference League then and win that, you want to be in Europa League and win that. I'm talking about circumstance. People say Europa League, it's crap. If you look at the old competitions, the Cup Winners' Cup, the UEFA Cup, the European Cup, and I know for a fact that someone on this show used to say to you guys, winning cures everything. And you remember winning. All of a sudden, we've become snobs. We don't want the EFL Cup. We don't want the FA Cup. We want the Premier League and the Champions League. And what does that go back to? It goes back to the narrative, which started with Arsene Wenger. This notion of top four. The Champions League has become everything for players, for fans. And everyone's bought into that narrative. Football is the evangelist when it comes to spreading the gospel about the Champions League, what it means. Money, money, money. And all the disciples have followed. And I'm not saying I don't want to be in the Champions League. We were in it for a long, long time. And what did we do with it? And in our history, how many semi-finals and finals have we gone to? Yes, I would take winning the Europa League this season and finishing 6th and being in the Champions League next season because we won the Europa League. That's my humble opinion as a Gooner. You guys let me know what you think. Let's see. Let me get some devaluing a trophy just to push an agenda is shameless. Europa League crap. We haven't won that. So what does it say about us? Exactly. What does it say about us? The Arteta craze needs to be called out on Sky and other media. It's creating mediocrity for us as fans. Mark says, with the increase of teams in the Champions League, the Europa League has diminished when you can get to a final by beating teams that are unsure of the first name. Listen, bum competition, no one wants it. Give Arteta everything this summer so we don't hear excuses. 100%. Objectively and historically, of course, the winner of the Europa would have had a better season. Yes, it's more successful, says O'Malley, but not a better season, if that makes sense. 100%. I said, did I say better? I said more successful. If I didn't, yes, you're correct. Morgie, you made it. There's the painting. Morgie painted the Hippodrome Casino picture of me and Super Kev. Look at his moniker right there. I love that. Merch is kin for building a wealthy club. Look at United, super wealthy based on worldwide merch sales. Don't mind the money coming in as long as it's spent to move the football forward. This is 100% correct. Well said, Morgie, and good to see you in the house. Soph, you have done a great one-woman show. Thank you, Tammy. Appreciate that very much. Amazon Andy, where's my delivery? Big up Tyrese. King Kev would be super proud and is clearly looking down on you and the family, 100%. Marina says, how many top players joined Arsenal because they spoke to Arteta? Listen. What top players of Declan Rice? Top player. Pretty good example. Here to there, Sophie's probably one of the most objective and critical of Arteta of any journalist I've seen on Sky. Thank you. I appreciate that. AJ says, I'm with Sophie, one more year for me as well before I truly lose hope. Let's see. Teng, no former Man United should ever get a job on Sky Sports covering match days, seeing how insignificant they've become in the league consistently. Teng, we finally agree on something. Good to see you as well. Let's see. They're still in the NBA playoffs, the Denver Nuggets. Yeah. Got a whooping a few days ago. All right, listen, that's all I've got time for this evening. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I just got a lot of stuff out there. There's going to be plenty of time to talk about transfers. There's going to be plenty of time to talk about Berta and Arteta, right? I'm really quite excited about that. I want to know who's going to have the power. Who's the boss? According to Pedro from the Arsenal Opinion and Le Grove, he felt like Mikel Arteta's still the boss. He will be running the show. It's a little like Diego Simeone and Berta. You know, Simeone's the Don at Atletico Madrid, but Berta, he was the boardroom master, the art of the deal, buying and selling. This is huge this summer. We hear it all the time. And by the way, there was a comment that came out. By the way, signing of Zubimendi, I'm excited about that. You heard Graham Hunter. If you missed the show, please go listen to it. He talked very, very highly of Zubimendi. And, you know, let's hope he's gonna work out. This is how I feel I want Arsenal to be next season. Read this. This is what you need to be to win. Now, of course, I don't want you to bite people's faces off. All right, everyone. But this is the attitude. This is the persona. You've got to be ruthless. You've got to be relentless. You have got to play the second half against Liverpool. Play the first half like that. Consistency, mentality. I talk about it all the time on this show. And it is so important because I think Mikel probably looks at this meme every morning. I actually think Mikel has this personality. He's ruthless. But you got to be a closer as well as be ruthless. That's what I think. Congratulations to Russo, Barclays WSL Player of the Year. She has been absolutely superb. We are going to have a few shows come your way before the big final on the 24th. Our Arsenal women facing Barcelona. Cannot wait for that. That is going to be absolutely epic. Congratulations to her. She looks beautiful. And my God, she's really taken this team by, you know, storm this season. She's been great. And Mariona as well. What a player. I didn't have time to get her pick and put it up. But Mariona Caldente will be the reason we win the Champions League. That signing, together with Russo's form this season, if we win the Women's Champions League, it will be because of those two players. We're going to need those two to be on fire. And you're right, Jamie. Mariona Caldente, Albert's favorite. Been talking about her even before she joined the Arsenal. And Russo has been brilliant for us. I would love it if we win the Champions League. I'd rather win the Champions League than have gone invincible and won the title this season. Because others have done it. Maybe not in this format, but, you know, Chelsea have done it twice now. We've done it. City have done it. Now's the time. Let's get the big one. Let's shock the world and beat Barcelona. Let's not play the way we did against Manchester United. Albert is going to do... Well, Albert, I'm going to let you announce that. I'm not going to take your thunder away from you. By the way, Declan Rice has a hamstring and Trossard has a hamstring. We'll talk about that tomorrow night, shall we? Until then, we got, you know, some other bits. Real quick, if you're up north, the Kevin Campbell Foundation are doing an evening at the Winslow Hotel, one of Kevin's favorite places to hang out. And you can get tickets. The link will be in the description of the show. Just go to the Kevin Campbell Foundation Instagram page or Twitter, and you can find all of the details there. It is on the 31st of May, the Winslow Hotel, Goodison Park, Liverpool. If you're up that way, go and support it. Please don't forget to hit that like button on the Apple and Spotify channels. I would really, really appreciate it very, very much. Trying to grow our audio platforms after having a virus attack us. Maybe it was Jamie Carragher. Who knows? But we're all back and up and running, and the links are in the description. Squaddies, I love you. Whether we agree or disagree, I'm sure there's going to be lots of folks in the comments section Please do leave your comments, and even go back and leave comments so we can interact together with those who haven't caught the show live and are catching it on replay. Everyone listening on our audio platforms, thank you. Everyone listening on replay, thank you. To the squaddies that have shown up in the house tonight, thank you so much. I love all Arsenal fans, and I want every Arsenal fan to have their voice heard. They're welcome to join this show anytime. No super chats. We try to put as many comments up as we possibly can. And maybe what we'll do this week, because I got stuck into one and I went off on one, in a good way, I think. We'll do a phone in, okay? Let me know in the YouTube comments if you want to phone in. You guys let me know. Let's do a phone in. Let's get some squaddies and let's get some fans on so they can have their say radio style, one by one. And we can talk about whether you think there is a disciple culture in certain sections of the fan base, what you thought about Mikel's presses, what you want to see happen this summer. What, Andrea Berta, are you excited or not? Do you hate the Cronkies? Or do you think they're as delicious as an American hot dog? Whatever you guys want to talk about, the floor will be yours. All right. Until then, look out on the YouTube community page for the next live show. And once again, Tyrese, congratulations from all of our squaddies. That'll be proud. And listen, kids, don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them. All right. And I will see you live, probably on Wednesday, I think. At ease, squaddies. At ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
All these lovely comments. Dynamite. Love you guys.